What's going on, everyone? So Los Angeles Lakers landing Deandre Ayton was fantastic, right? It was like, thank you, right? Finally got a starting caliber center. In all honesty, probably the best option the Lakers could have gotten, even via trade. And the fact that the Lakers were able to get him for essentially nothing. I mean, you could argue it was Dorian Finney-Smith, or if you want to kind of tail it back, 3 seconds, D'Angelo Russell and Maxwell Lewis. But point is, Lakers ended up getting Deandre Ayton, which was huge. Right? This is a piece that could be great for now and the future. I mean, he's young enough to be the franchise center for the next 6+ years and be kind of the building blocks alongside Luka Doncic and potentially an Austin Reeves. See what they end up doing with Austin Reeves. But now that you got the starting center locked up, it's great. Great position. Lakers are going to be tough. However, job's not finished, right? You still need a lot of things, particularly perimeter help and depth and defense. And I do worry about the Lakers' defense. I'm not going to lie, with Austin Reeves, Luka Doncic, LeBron James, Deandre Ayton, and Rui Hachimura. Defensively, I mean, offensively, you're probably scoring 140, but you need to be able to hold teams to at least 130, right? But Lakers will probably have the best offense in all of basketball. But point is, you need a backup, right? Lakers need a clear-cut backup center. Now, there's been talks of them trading for several guys, Nick Richards, Yves Missi, which he would be fantastic. I think he's a guy that could be now and even insurance in case DeAndre Ayton leaves in a year because he does have a second-year opt-out. So if he even leaves, then Missi can kind of step in and take over that role. And then Robert Williams III. All three of those guys I think would be best right now at the current state as backups in a backup role. But if you're the Lakers, is it really worth giving up the assets in order to go and acquire any of those guys? Maybe. It depends on what it is. If you're not giving up a first, in my opinion, maybe for Missi, but outside of that, like I wouldn't give up a first for any of those guys. Not giving up Connect for any of those guys, except for maybe Missi, right? Just because he is so young. But outside of that, Al Horford. He's a guy that was linked to Lakers before the DeAndre Ayton thing, that the Lakers were very high on bringing him in as a backup, even if they got DeAndre Ayton, right? Like, Al Horford is a guy that could come in and play that role. And it's not a coincidence that reports, of course, coming out that, like, Lakers finally got DeAndre Ayton. They're still targeting and after Al Horford as that primary backup. Like, that would be the guy. And to me, that would be fantastic, right? For a multitude of reasons, but one of the biggest reasons is now you don't have to go trade for a backup. Now you can use the little assets that you have to go and get the perimeter helps. Can you go get an Andrew Wiggins and another kind of 3-and-D guy, right? Can you kind of line things up in a way to where you're kind of getting the pieces necessary to really kind of round out this roster so we can go try to win an NBA championship next year. Really like the Lakers odds right now as it stands, no pun intended, but again, there's still some needs that need to be resolved. The other big reason I like Al Horford, and we'll get into like the specifics as far as play-wise goes, Al Horford might be exactly what the Lakers need for DeAndre Ayton. Look, I am stoked about DeAndre Ayton. I think there is a version of DeAndre Ayton that we have yet to see. I think there is a monster in there that if he's bought in, focused, and ready to go, right, and really buys in and locks in, which he needs to be, this could be his last chance, right? So he really needs to be focused. There is a version of this where he is, a 20-and-10 center even as a fourth option, right? And you got to keep in mind, Luka's always going to be looking for him. Every single play. He is keeping an eye on that lob threat. So if Ayton is hitting his spots, rolling to the basket hard, doing the things that he's supposed to do, Luka's going to find him all day long. But the big issues with DeAndre Ayton is the motor, right? The effort, him kind of, there were reports even earlier today, that Portland, they couldn't deal with his tantrums and him throwing chairs in like the locker room and stuff like that. Like him just supposedly based on the report that he looked at himself as the big fish in Portland. Like he looked at himself as like, I'm the franchise guy here, which I don't really blame him. You look at Portland when he got there, like he was their best player. And he didn't really get that. He didn't really get that treatment. So he was kind of upset about it, where now he's going to the Lakers where he's not the big fish, right? You have Luka, you have LeBron, not the big fish. Even if LeBron retires, you're still not the big fish. Luka's the big fish. You're one of them. You could be one of the fish, but not the guy, right? So there's a thought that maybe that attitude might change a little bit. But I think having a vet like Al Horford come in, slot in, give you real production. I mean, dude, he was like the defensive anchor for the Celtics during their championship run. He was so vital and important to their championship run. He still is a very good defensive player, even as an old man, right? Even as Unc. He's still out there. He's very good defensively, stretches the floor. Lakers also like the idea because Ayton is that floor running lob threat big, that they want that kind of pick and pop type of bid. So Ayton's your pick and roll guy, and then you have your pick and pop guy and an Al Horford, right? And each guy is kind of best with your other star, right? Like Al Horford would be best slotted with LeBron James, right? Because LeBron James, he likes things cleared out, 4 wide, and then he can kind of put his head down, get to the basket, and either finish or kick out to shooters. So Al Horford would be great in that regard, where Ayton, he's fine in the paint. He can also run some pick and pop action, not to the 3-ball, but to like the mid-range stuff. He can knock down the midi. But you look at a guy like Luka. Luka likes the traffic. He likes to operate, get into the teeth of the defense, collapse the defense, and then have that outlet, right, for the lob threat. So he's fine with the traffic. So bringing in Horford kind of gives you the best of both worlds. Gives you kind of that LeBron center, gives you that sort of Luka center, and Al Horford could work with Luka as well as just a pick and roll man and stuff like that. He's just that savvy old vet. He's a guy that come in, really play a role and solidify himself and kind of, just be that stabilizer for this team. Right? Lakers are trying to get younger. And they are. They're doing a great job of it, right? But you also need those guys, right? Like, think of the 2020 roster. Think of how important Jared Dudley was to that team, right? And the guy hardly played, but he was that veteran that kept it all together. He was that veteran that players could go and talk to. He was that veteran that, was respected, right? Same thing with Rajon Rondo. You had a bunch of young guys. It was a young team, but you had the sprinkle in of vets and key vets in key areas. Key vets that were important in kind of keeping the troops together, right? And I think that is something that a guy like Al Horford really brings. I think Al Horford, he might be the most important piece we could get left, right? Even like trade and stuff like that. Because again, he's a guy that I do think would help and do wonders for Deandre Ayton. I'm not saying like if the Lakers don't get Al Horford, right? I want to be clear about this. That's saying like if the Lakers don't get Al Horford, that's it. All Lakers just blew it. No, I just think he's a guy that could be like, he could be the adhesive that makes sure that doesn't break apart, right? You got the glue guys, you got all that, but you can pull apart some glue. Al Horford could be that adhesive, that guy that keeps them tight, right? And keeps them, focused and locked in, particularly Ayton. I want Al Horford more than anything just to be kind of that veteran presence for Ayton, right? He's also a big man. He gets kind of some of the things. He gets, the games where you don't really get to see the ball very much and stuff like that. The Luka's taking too many shots, whatever, right? Like, it's hard, like JJ, don't get me wrong. I think JJ and that coaching staff, I think they'll be able to kind of get to him and relate. And I think JJ is going to be able to talk to him. He's young enough to where he's not that far removed from the league and stuff. And I do think that that's a benefit. I do think that, you have LeBron. If you were ever going to respect somebody, it's LeBron James, so on and so forth. But I do think that Al Horford, it's different when you're taking advice from like a shooting guard or, LeBron. LeBron's LeBron. Right? Like, that's the thing. That's why Dudley was so important. Dudley is just another guy. He's the pedestrian in the locker room compared to like the stars, right? Like, it's easier to go to Jared Dudley and talk to him than it is to go to like a LeBron James and talk to him, right? That's where I think Al Horford could really shine, as being that guy that DeAndre Ayton can kind of confide in. Right, and take on that role. And I think that would be very important. But beyond that, talking about a guy that gives you real production. I know people look at his age, but that's always the first thing people look at. He just turned 39. But don't sleep on Al Horford. Al Horford could literally be the difference between the Lakers winning a championship or not. And that's not an exaggeration. He was huge for the Boston Celtics in their win. He was so important for Boston. He left Boston and they brought him back because they realized like, hey, we messed up letting him go. Right? Like, so because he's so valuable as that veteran that just does the dirty work. Now you look at last year. Let's go over some of the stats. 60 games played, 42 games started, 27.7 minutes per game, 7.7 field goal attempts per game. shot 42.3% from the floor, 36.3% from three-point range on 5.2 attempts. The last 2 seasons, he was 42% and 45% on 4 attempts and 5.2 attempts. If he can get back up to that, that would be fantastic. You gotta keep in mind, playing alongside Luka Doncic and LeBron James, so the quality of looks that he's gonna get are unlike anything he's gotten, right? That's important. 2-point range, 55.1% on 2.5 attempts. EFG of 54.7%. Free throw shooting, 0.6 attempts, not taking a ton of free throws, but he was just under 90% from the free throw line. 6.2 rebounds, 2 assists, a steal, a block, and 9 points per game. Again, a guy that can help in multiple categories, a guy that is that savvy, quality vet, come in, play a role, have an impact on this team. I really think Al Horford could potentially be crucial for this team, right? Kind of be the guy that puts it all together. If they can land him, you got to go get him. Right? I think you go get him. Even if you have to use your biannual, right? I think you do it. Ideally, I'd like to get him on a vet minimum, but you need to make sure Ayton works. So that's why I think he's so important. But let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments. Make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel. I'll see you all in the next one. Thank you.